working on a child's play table, and this is the leg assembly. Here's the leg going down this way, and there's another one on the other side. The design called for the top corners to be mitered. And hey, this is kids. You know how kids are. They're a little rough on stuff. I'm concerned about them breaking it when all I've got is a mitered corner here, so I want to put spline in it. Now, a typical way of doing this is to cut the spline on the table saw, but a table saw blade has an 1/8" curve, which means I'm going to have an 1/8" thick spline. I want something a little heavier. Again, this is going to be kids. I've got a little piece of 1/4" thick oak sitting around. I thought that would just work out perfectly, nice and strong. 1/3 of the thickness of the wood. So all I need to be able to do is cut that 1/3. All right, that's fairly easy with a tongue and groove bit, the part that would normally cut the groove, because for a 3/4" tongue and groove, you got each section is a 1/4. All right, so what I need to do is be able to do this on the router instead of on the table saw. How do you do that? Well, first step, I made a little jig like this. All right, now the problem I've got here is that the groove this is going to cut is only going to be about a 1/2 inch deep, right about there. But I want to round the corner, again, kids, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this corner off. I made another jig, and all these are for is to make it fit into to run along the fence on the router table, okay? So to make this, I use my handy speed square to set one piece up. And then I measured over a 1/2 inch, and then again use my speed square to put the other piece in. So I have a perfect 90 degrees here, and it's 45 degrees to this base. And this base is going to run along the fence on the router. Now I can put this on here, or actually flip it over. It operates this way. Draw myself a little line, and I can cut that corner off, making it ready to go onto the router. There we go. This little block, I've got a couple of these around. What I use that for, well, you just saw what I used it for. It's to make sure I keep my blade absolutely perpendicular. And then this way, I can get an exact 45-degree angle. In order to make this work, the jig, I guess you'd call it, is going to go on the top side, and this edge is going to run across the fence. Well, I need to make sure it's going to stay there, so I'm going to use some double-sided masking tape, just a couple pieces. If you don't have double-sided masking tape in your workshop, you're missing out, because this stuff is useful for holding so many things in woodworking. The nice thing is that once you get done with using it, you can just remove it. There we go. So I'll line this up along the two legs here and just press it down. And it's going to go through the router this side up, because if it was the other side, then it would throw off the centering of my slot. So here's what my spline looks like after cutting it. Now, all this looks like it's part of the spline, but in fact, all of this is part of my jig. The part that's the spline is right here. See, here's the edges of my frame. Okay, so if I take this apart and just get this glue to pop loose there, now you can see. You see, this is my actual dimensions of my spline. It's a 1/4 inch high, and it looks like it's about 1 1/4 inch long. And I'll glue in a piece of oak there, and then I'll sand it to radius it. So here's my spline. It's set overnight. I glued it in. PVA glue should always be left at least overnight, if not 24 hours to set. And as you can see, the spline is too big. That was done intentionally, just so I could glue it in. And now we're going to cut off the excess. So I always put a board under so I don't damage my bench top. And I'm not using my little guide block because the side of the leg here does the exact same thing. And we'll cut the other one. And here's the finished spline, all ready for my grandkids to climb on it, which, by the way, they did as soon as I gave the table to them.